Hey, what's up everyone? SKULM here, and in today's video we're going to briefly read the patch notes and talk about how to prepare for the Gauntlet. Now, patch notes will be linked in the video description below. We're going to quickly, very fast, go over these notes. As you can see, patch is coming at March 5th, 2024, and we will see many gameplay updates. First of all, vampiric powers, some of them are returning. Most important one is of course the metamorphosis power. However, it is a bit nerfed version because while you have the unstoppable effects from metamorphosis as well as the application of vampiric curse, it makes evade's cooldown increase to 5 to 10 seconds. The best roll you can get is a 5-second increase. Burst roll is 10 seconds. There are some other vampiric powers that interests other classes, namely the Arc Lash Sorcerer, but Metamorphosis is the most famous one. Balance updates. Ring of Starless Skies now shows the buff on your bar when it's active, so you can actually track when the ring is activated. Barbarian is not nerfed at all, which is a joke if you ask me, but it is what it is. Good luck to all the Barbarian players out there. And the druid has received some buffs. The companion druid got some buffs, but I think the shred druid is going to be really powerful. Also, the lightning storm and the boulder druids are going to be the best builds to play in the Gauntlet. For the necromancer, we see a massive buff to the summon necromancer, namely the minions, the skeletal warriors, reapers, mages and the golems. However, I don't think this is going to be enough for a summon necromancer to compete against a Bone Spear or Bone Spirit or Blood Lance Necromancer in the Gauntlet. I think this is a step in the right direction, and we should be excited to see a summon necromancer meta in Season 4. However, right now, for Season 3, we're gonna mostly stick to the aforementioned builds that I've just mentioned. I am not gonna go over all the buffs. I just want to make sure that you see this little sneaky buff to Corpse Explosion. Corpse Explosion's damage is increased by 21.5%. Also, the Plagued Corpse Explosion damage increased from 8% to 10%. So if you are a Black River, Bone Spear, Corpse Explosion hybrid necromancer, this really works for your favor. Other than that, I want to criticize these passive changes, both positively and negatively. Death's Approach has been renamed, so it was Death's Reach, so you no longer deal extra damage to distant enemies. This was supposed to be called Death's Advance, but now they have written it as Death's Approach, so I don't know what's going on. But now, instead of gaining multiplicative damage to distant enemies, you now have movement speed. I think this is a really good change in general. Having a movement speed passive was really required for the necromancer. But I'm gonna also add a negative criticism in just a couple of seconds. Spiked armor has been changed. Now it actually grants thorns and additional armor. Welcome change in my opinion. Death's Embrace. Damage reduction from close enemies increased from 369% to 4812%. I love this. But they could just make Death's Embrace grant you flat damage instead of damage to close. And the negative criticism here is Bone Spear, naturally, is an ability that deals a lot of damage from a distance because the spear, the first primary spear, travels and then it breaks up into shards and returns to you. So if you pinpoint the enemy's location with good positioning, you will deal maximum amount of damage. Now, if you have to be close to the target has to stand in front of a wall, something that could ricochet the Bone Spear shards. So now you're actually relying more on walls and other obstacles, whereas the old Death's Reach made sure even if the enemy is situated in an open area, you could adjust your positioning and that distance would actually work in your favor if you place the boss appropriately. However, it is what it is. I hope in the future they change Death's Embrace, damage to close to overall damage increase, so that it actually compensates the damage loss from Death's Reach. I mean, they're not nerfing Barbarian at all, and yes, they're trying to make good changes for the Necromancer, but then we lose damage from distance, which is not optimal and ideal if you ask me, because Hota Barb or Charge Barb exists in this game. So it is what it is. For the Paragon nodes, again, we see a massive focus on the minion Necromancer. Cult Leader has been buffed. Also, the Corporeal Glyph has been buffed. It used to grant you 10% physical increased damage to you and your minions. Still grants that, but now you gain 1% movement speed for each active minion. Now, this may be bugged, and it might actually grant you some extra movement speed for the companion, the Seneschal companion you may have. So there might be a bug. Keep an eye out for this glyph. I'm going to test it. 1% movement speed for free is 1% movement speed for free. So that may be the case. Some interesting change in the legendary aspects as well. Aspect of Hardened Bones. Damage reduction also applies to the player in addition to their minions. So that's a lot of damage reduction coming from this legendary aspect. And again, another buff is Blood-Baited aspect. The damage of Blood Surge echoes change from 60-50% less damage to 10-30% less damage. That's a lot of damage. Sorcerer, I think the meta of the Sorcerer is going to be Ball Lightning or Fireball because of the infinite teleport and mobility it has. And other than that, Rogues have also been buffed, which is good. I think Rogue is a pretty solid class overall in general. The companion damage has been nerfed. There were some fun, actually fun builds that use the pet as the primary source of damage. I don't understand the reasoning of this nerf, but it is what it is. So the pet is gonna be more like a support through the Evernight and the Genesis Uber glyphs. So if you have them, you get more benefit out of those now. Other than that, it's pretty much some bug fixes. Also, you can now craft an Uber unique item with 4 Resplendent Sparks instead of 5. So they changed that a little bit as well. Other than that, we see an overall bug fixes. Also fixed an issue where the Necromancer Skeletal Reaper's chance to create a corpse was based on lucky hit instead of flat percentage. Again, I mentioned this, the Skeletal Reapers were producing less corpses compared to Season 2 and Season 1. Season 1 actually. So now they fixed this, so they're gonna create a lot of corpses again. This is gonna be really good for the Summon Necromancer in Season 4. But we have to wait a little bit. Also, there was an issue where Bone Splinter's cast from the Shattered Spirit aspect didn't receive the vulnerable effect granted by Initiate's Bone Splinter. So this is a hidden buff to Bone Spirit Necromancer using this aspect. So this is also good. Also fixed an issue where Thorns were not consistent when applying lucky hit. Example, Thorns could trigger Abhorrent Decrepify but not Hewed Flesh. Massive buff to those little Thorn ticks. That's a massive buff, okay? You are going to create a lot of corpses if you play Infinimist or Summon Necromancer with these Thorns change. So that's actually massive. And I think a lot of people are missing out on these fixes. And I think these are where the devil lies in the details, So this is the important point. Make sure you read all the patch notes. But again, I promised you that I was gonna go over these very fast. So I'm gonna stop reading the patch notes. I think these were the most important points. Let me know in the comments if I missed something in the patch notes. Now, coming back to the preparation phase, we have all seen the Gauntlet gameplay. The developers have did a fantastic job playing through the Gauntlet. I was more interested in the Necromancer gameplay since that is my main class, obviously. There are some tips and tricks that we can apply to, but most importantly, when we want to prepare for the Gauntlet, first, we want to make sure we have enough obols, because the moment the patch hits, Metamorphosis legendary aspect is going to arrive, and we're probably going to replace the aspect of Slaughter with Metamorphosis instead. This is primarily done for applying Tybalt's Will and the damage percentage, the multiplicative damage percentage we can get from Tybalt, as well as the primary resource. So how to get Metamorphosis aspect? Very simple. Maximize your obols, go to the Curiosity vendor and start gambling for boots. If you don't have that, if you cannot, if you didn't get the boots, if you become unlucky, you can go to the Seneschal vendor, the Cofferer, the Jeweler, craft construct items and press exchange. Now you can create Murmuring Caches, so you can exchange your Shattered Stones. I have 479,000 Shattered Stones, and I can create these Murmuring Caches which contains 50 Murmuring Obols. This way I can gamble more for those boots and hope to get a nice roll on the Metamorphosis aspect. So other than that, there is also another important thing that you need to consider. Watch Gauntlet gameplay video and make sure you try to understand the map layout. Now, I'm not sure when the Gauntlet comes if we're gonna get the same map or not. But if we do, we can have a general idea about where the shrines are, where the bosses are. I've created first look copy of the map. It is a work in progress. It is not completely finished, but I would like to thank my community in Discord for adding further detail. We're gonna, of course, create a more detailed and a more accurate version of the Gauntlet map that has been showcased to us in the video. Other than that, understand the map very, very detailedly and understand where the shrines are. Try to come up with a strategy that makes the best use of the shrines, because there are two important shrines. The first one actually revives all the monsters that you have killed, and the second one grants you additional proof of might, so you can get increased score throughout the duration of that shrine. So using those shrines in combination with each other is going to be very, very important for your score. In order to get a high score, you really need to min-max your character and come up with decent strategies. Again, maximizing O-balls for the metamorphosis aspect should be your primary goal. Understanding the map layouts, coming up with a solid Gauntlet strategy should be your secondary objective. If you can make sure that you get these objectives done, then you're probably gonna have a good time during the Gauntlet. The enemy level in the Gauntlet is gonna be 124, so you know they're not gonna be that difficult to kill, or probably they cannot kill you, obviously, since if you're playing my setup, especially like we are breezing through tier 100 dungeons in a matter of seconds, sometimes a minute, sometimes 45 to 50 seconds we finish dungeons. In this Gauntlet, it's mostly about killing the enemies as fast as possible within 8 minutes. So the route is going to be very important. Which direction you're going to be clearing is going to be crucial for your score, because you will have to make some strategic choices. Do you want to open up chests? Do you want to use the shrines? When do you want to use the shrines? How many bosses are you going to be killing before activating the revive shrine? Are you going to be getting the proof of might right after reviving, or will you save that shrine for a later use? How many rotations, how many laps you're going to make around the Gauntlet? Now, something important about the Gauntlet is you have infinite time for the Gauntlet. It stays for 1 week, same map, same location, same enemies. Everything is static, everything is fixed. So you have 7 days to memorize the map, learn the enemy locations, and then come up with the best strategy you can do. So this is a really good exercise, also mentally, for you to look at the Gauntlet and understand which route is the best for your performance and for your score. Other than that, make sure you have a nice build. Follow me for more videos. I will be releasing more Gauntlet strategies, talking about classes, metas, probably Necromancer specific issues. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel. It's completely free. Like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.